So you're feeling stuck. You are frustrated, perhaps stressed, or even run down, right? Because you are putting so much effort into trying to move the needle. You are trying to get yourself from point A to point B to up level your health and well being, or perhaps leave a situation that is toxic or no longer serving or supporting you. Whatever it might be, my dear, you are not alone, and we have all been there. Some of us, perhaps longer than we have anticipated, but here's the deal. I want to bring this to your attention and see if you can begin to reframe things that might help significantly get you out of this place of stagnancy, of feeling not only stuck, but as if you might be in a mode of victim mentality. And that's nothing to really feel bad about or come down on ourselves for. Again, I think it's totally normal, but I beg you to begin to look at things from the outside and become very aware of the story that you are telling yourself, right? We have to understand that at any given moment, we have this narrative that is constantly running in the background, whether we are conscious of it or not. And that story is made up of our beliefs, is made up of certain language and metaphor that we are always having on repeat and reaffirming to ourselves. And unless that gets addressed, unless we become very aware of what that looks like and what that sounds like, then it is quite literally going to be very impossible for us to really shift ourselves leaps and bounds and step into a new experience and move through whatever we need to move through. I'd like for you to think about it like this. You get in the car and you've got your foot on the gas and the brake, and you are wondering why the hell I'm not going anywhere, right? It's really no different than that. We can be putting in all the effort, all the force, all the doing. We can be showing up and implementing the things and the routines, but at the same time, we still have this inner critic that is very outdated, very old in our belief system, very old in the language that we're telling ourselves and the metaphors that we're feeding ourselves, whether we look in the mirror and come down on ourselves. And we are still holding on to the embodiment of doubt and disbelief, right? Fear and stress. That's your foot on the brake, right? And so we really need to recognize where our story is if we are ready to truly get the fuck out of our own way and step into this state of flow, really step into this pathway of grace and play and joy. And how do we do that? We do so by taking a look at our story and seeing what needs to remain and seeing what might be time to let go, to release. And so I encourage you to visit your story and visit it on the page. Take this time to take a little time out, if you will, to sit with yourself, to just sort of give a little reflection on your inner dialogue and become aware of what's going on behind the scenes. Truly, how do you feel in your body? What is resonating with you in a visceral sense, in the experience of your body? Are you truly feeling higher faith? Are you able to put yourself into this higher frequency and ecstatic environment of fun and joy? Because these are truly the emotions and the feelings that you're going to need to move out of a state of stagnancy. These very emotions are going to be the key component to stepping into a role of creativity and becoming the co-creator, right? Instead of sitting in this victim mentality and straining and struggling and wondering why this is so difficult and maybe I just need to give it more. No. So I encourage you to shift your perspective and become a co-creator. And instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Perhaps you can reframe it and ask yourself, how can I respond to this, right? My power lies in how I respond. And so it's really these little subtle nuances. It's having such an awareness, right? It doesn't oftentimes require more strain and more effort and more struggle. In fact, the situation often begs for the opposite, right? We become these powerful creatures when we are creating from a place of calm, versus trying to cultivate from a place of chaos, which is truly where we are when we are on the wheel, just going in circles and trying to push and force from an outdated perspective. And so I share with you today the idea of reframing your story, the idea of shifting out of outdated beliefs and into a state of not only higher awareness, but truly beginning to elevate yourself. And so, what might this look like? I encourage you to begin scripting, right? If you are still not scripting, my dear, here in 2025, you are quite literally leaving your dreams on the table. So if this is something new to you, I have a beautiful resource down below, a free resource at that. Um, Writing through an embodied perspective and beginning to script your story, really script into this new identity and shift yourself into this new narrative, quite literally onto the page. And we also can do this by dropping into mindful practices and beginning to adopt new habits and new ways of being and simply showing up, not so much for others, but truly for ourselves. All right, wild love. I'll see you in another video soon.